Hey guys, you can now support this show and make your life 50% better by going to patreon.com/The System Is Down and signing up for the Downers Club, where you're going to get access to a plethora of wild, crazy, and often offensive bonus audio and video episodes of the show on a weekly basis. For more information, just go to patreon.com/The System Is Down. Today's episode is sponsored by the 29 Toes podcast. If at any point during this episode you find yourself a little too uncomfortable and triggered, you can head over to 29toes.com and kind of decompress your brain a little bit, where they're just having casual, laid-back, fun, funny conversations about things that are going on in their lives, in the world, things in media and entertainment, all that fun stuff. So check them out at 29toes.com or wherever podcasts are sold. The following is a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
Welcome to the System Is
Down. Hello, what's up, Downers? Happy Monday to you. I hope you're having a great one. I hope that this episode finds you well on your commute to or from your place of employment, or while you're at work, wherever you're listening to this. I hope that you enjoy it. If you're new here, this is the place where we talk about all the uncomfortable topics, things like conspiracies, politics, and religion. The things that get your panties in a wad, the things that your family prays you don't bring up around the Thanksgiving dinner table. And if you're one of the many people that tune in every single week for your weekly dose of discomfort, welcome back to the show. It's always a pleasure to have you, but we're going to do things a little bit differently today. I've just been, I've had kind of a chill week. I'm on some new meds. My brain's getting a little bit healthier, and I'm just leveling out a little bit. Normally, well, here's the thing. I was supposed to have a guy on today. I was supposed to record an episode with him this week and have that episode come out today. That did not happen. Great guy. He didn't blow me off or anything. He was just unavailable, and some things came up. I'm going to push that episode. We're still going to do that episode once I get back in touch with him, but that probably won't be out for a while. And I've got the whole of January and February scheduled out for episodes, which is new for me. I'm typically much less organized than that. So I could have went on to next week's episode and had that be today's and flip-flopped some things around. But I've just been feeling good and feeling chill and want to do something fun. It's my show. I'll do what I want. And so I'm flying solo today. We haven't done this in a while. I think we haven't done it since way back toward the beginning of the show, in the inception. But we did a couple episodes a long time ago that were Questions and Danswers, where you guys just threw your questions into the forum, and I did an episode answering them. Let me see here. I'm doing this all on the fly. Whatever happens, happens. It's going to be as chill as possible. The last time we did this, we did one. The first one was looks like episode 18 of the show, and the second one we did way back in episode 31. So it's been a while. Way back in November of 2017. It's been over a year. We're definitely due for another Questions and Danswers episode, and now seems like a good time. We'll just fill in the week, give you some good entertainment, and if you like this, if you like me solo ranting by myself, great, let me know, and you can let me know in the System Is Down forum, which you can find by going to tsidpod.com/forum, or you can just go over to Facebook and type in the System Is Down forum, ask to join. If you look like a human being, I'll get you in there right away, but that is where all these questions come from as well. So if you like this, if you want to tell me to do more like this, or more solo stuff, even if it's not Questions and Danswers, and if you want to ask questions, get into the System Is Down forum. That is a place where we're just having these fun, uncomfortable conversations, civilly talking about things that need to be discussed in the world, like the main topics of conspiracies, politics, and religion, getting all different sides of conversations and doing so in a civil manner, very different from your typical Facebook wall, because, if you're a douche, we'll kick you out. That's really the only rule, is don't be a dick. So we'll just jump into some of these questions, answer them for you. We'll have a good, fun, laid-back Monday today. I'll crack open a nice energy drink here so I can get my words functioning properly. And this will be what this is. I hope you enjoy. Let's take a look here. We're going to start off. I've got a couple questions from members of the Downers Club, because Downers Club members get first priority in all of these things. If there are any questions that I don't get to, they won't be Downers Club members, because Downers Club members take top priority in this type of thing. If you're not familiar, I'll go ahead and plug that. The Downers Club is our patron program. It's where you can help support the show and keep it getting bigger and better every single week, looking more beautiful, sounding more beautiful, and being more beautiful, getting bigger and better guests. And in return, you get a bunch of bonus audio and video content every single week. You can support the show, get all that fun bonus content by going to patreon.com/The System Is Down and signing up for as little as a cup of coffee a month. That is $5 a month, which is basically nothing. Basically nothing. If you lost $5 a month, you would not realize that you lost it. If somebody took $5 out of your paycheck every single month, you wouldn't realize that it wasn't there. I mean, unless you're more organized and pay better close attention to your finances than I do. I know that I wouldn't. If somebody was stealing $5 a month from me and I didn't know, or and they didn't tell me, I wouldn't notice. That is not an invite for somebody to come and hack my bank account and steal $5 a month. But I'm rambling. So let's get into this. Downers Club questions first. And I'm not editing this either. So you get all the slurpy noises of me drinking this Spike Orange Energy. Enjoy. So the first question comes from Justin Zielinski. He asks, and I have not read through these and pondered them like I typically would. I've not obsessed over them like I normally do. These are just going to be off the cuff. Whatever happens, happens. Hopefully I'll get to every single question. But these are not scripted out or planned or anything like that. These are just you guys' questions. First thing that comes to mind is what you get. So Justin Zielinski asks, how have you seriously changed your views since you started TSID? Well, I would say my overall views I would probably have to go back and listen to some old episodes, actually, to really see how my views have changed. And I was talking to a friend and family member about this recently who started listening to my podcast. He started listening from episode 1, and I was like, ugh, there's just part of me that's like, don't listen to episode 1. I don't remember what episode 1 was. I don't remember what we were doing back then or what my views were necessarily, and I know that they have changed, and I hope that in the past few years I have progressed as a human being and learned some things. For sure, I think that I have become more, in the general sense, I've become more skeptical and more open-minded at the same time, if that makes sense. Like, there's some conspiracy ideas that I have accepted, that I'm pretty well convinced that that's true. And there are other things where I'm just a little bit more skeptical on, and it might take me a little bit more to dig into some things, but trying to be more open-minded, which also means humbling myself and listening more than I ever have if somebody has a counter argument, for sure, and taking that into account. And I hope that you guys are doing the same. How have I changed my views in particular? I would say that I am a more firm believer in God than I was at the beginning of the show, actually. I'm not entirely sure why that is, but some of my findings, some of my digging probably, some of the conspiracy stuff that I dig into has actually made me more convinced that we do have a creator, which I did believe in God, but I feel like I'm less, angstily skeptical about God at this point. I don't know. And that might come up in some of the other questions too, but trying to think of any other way that I've changed my views. I don't know. You let me know if you've noticed anything that I've changed, if I've flipped on or flopped on. But flip-flopping is all just human growth, baby. And I hope that I have. I hope that I've changed in some ways. If I haven't, then I'm doing this whole thing wrong. Because the whole point of this podcast is to try and figure out where you're wrong, trying to figure out what this world is all about. So if I'm not changing at all, then I'm a hypocrite. So there's that. Next question from the Downers Club. John Schweppe asks, can you provide... Oh, he's got 3 questions. Can you provide an example of something Trump does that actually upsets you? That is a great question. And I am not your typical Trump supporter or your typical Trump hater. I will support Trump when Trump does well, and I will not support Trump when Trump does wrong. I have no problem going either way. I am not a hard stance Trumpian on any side. But I would say that something that he does that actually upsets me would be... There's not a ton. I mean, he's not really... He's not pulling us out of Syria, as far as I can tell. He's making these big claims about things that I like and want him to do, and so far he seems to be kind of pulling back a little bit on that. I was all for pulling out of Syria, pulling out of Afghanistan, all that stuff, but from what I hear, he's kind of backing off that idea. Things that really upset me. He could... I mean, I am all for being like anti-PC. If you haven't noticed, I'm all for speaking your mind and saying the first thing that comes up, or just not necessarily the first thing that comes out, which is what I'm doing right now. Being honest, being open and honest and raw. I like that about Trump. But there are some things where I'm kind of a good judge of character, I feel like, and it has been proven over the years. And it just seems like a lot of the things that he says off the cuff when he's in front of a microphone, it's not thought out, and it's just like stupid a lot of the times. I'm fine with you being raw and unfiltered, but stop and think for 2 seconds, because some of it just comes across as dumb. That really upsets me when you come across as an idiot, because I know that he's not an idiot. I don't think he is. I think that a lot of the things he's doing, he has reasons for, and he's planned out, and I hope that, he's got good intentions, but man, some of the things he says, it's just like, what the hell are you talking about? I don't know. There's not a ton of things that upset me. I mean, even the things that I disagree with him on, they annoy me, but it doesn't come as any surprise. The typical presidential stuff that every president does, not legal, not ending the war on drugs and stuff like that. That stuff upsets me, but that's to be expected. So it doesn't really like deep down anger me, because it's just him playing ball, him doing the same as everybody else, and it doesn't surprise me in any way. Next question from John is, dumbest thing we did in high school. John, I don't remember. I've probably mentally blocked out a lot of high school. I don't remember. I can't remember any specifically dumb stories of you and I. John Schweppe and I, we went to high school together, if you didn't figure that out, but I don't know, John. Maybe you could enlighten me better on that. I don't remember too many dumb stories. But I also have a pretty bad memory, so I'm sure there are quite a few. This is also from John. Bigger disappointment: Evanescence post Fallen, or latest season of South Park. Man, that's a great question, and I would say the latest season of South Park had its ups and its downs, but I was fine with it. It's fine. It's fine. I haven't listened to too much Evanescence since Fallen. I don't know if I've listened to any Evanescence since Fallen. I think I listened to whatever album came out right after it, but not a whole lot. Fallen was such a great album, and Open Door, I think, was the one right after. I don't know, but the next album I kind of like tapered off and haven't really listened to anything she's done since then. So I would have to say, sadly, Evanescence post Fallen is a bigger disappointment than South Park. You just can't go back to the teenage angst of Amy Lee when she was the cute little goth sceney chick. Now she's like big brassy operatic lady, and it doesn't really hit me in the right way. I haven't given it a fair shake. I've I've watched every episode of South Park, so I've given them a lot more of a, I don't know, fair game than, a lot more of a chance than I have Evanescence, I suppose. All right. And if you guys haven't figured out, these AMA things, these questions and dancers, there's zero structure, there's zero planning, there's zero anything going into this. Whatever you guys ask, that's what this is. So if it's a giant cluster F of a show, then that's fine. That's fine. That's what we're here to do. I love it all the more. The stranger it is, the better. All right, we're jumping over into the System is Down forum. This comes from actually another Downers Club member, but he posted it in the main forum. This is from Mark Clare of the Lions of Liberty podcast. Mark asks, are you convinced there is a God? And if so, why did he make dogs? Great question, obviously, from a listener of the show, because Mark is very aware of my disdain for dogs. I am convinced that there is a God at this point in my life. I'm open to that. I'm open to being proven wrong, but I do believe that there is. Why did he make dogs? Well, Mark, the Lord works in mysterious ways. Why does he allow children to die from cancer and AIDS? I mean, all the big questions. Why does he allow people to have mental disorders that plague them their whole lives? Why did he allow genocides throughout history? I don't know. His ways are higher than mine. And why did he allow us to be plagued with dogs? I don't know, but not a fan of dogs. I actually have warmed up to dogs just a slight hair. I've met a few decent dogs lately. And I don't want to be too quick to judge a dog, but in general, dogs are bad, and I'm fine with being a racist against dogs. It's kind of like when the people who say that cops are bad, one bad apple spoils the bunch. Most dogs are bad. I will freely admit. One good dog does not make up for the whole slew of disgust that and awfulness that is dog kind. But there might be some pictures floating around there on the interwebs from the holiday season, Christmas and New Year's, of me warming up to a dog or two. But that does not mean that I like dogs in general anymore. Anyway, so what else do we got here? Let's see. Dan Jostkin. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Jostkin. I'm not sure. Dan asks, what is the biggest conspiracy theory that has been proven true? Well, if it's a theory, then it hasn't been proven true necessarily. That's kind of a contradictory question, but the biggest theory that, in my mind, has been proven true, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of things that I think that probably is, and there's some things that I'm like, that has to be. It's really hard for me to think that that's not the conspiracy. There's still theories because they haven't been proven. I am, as Ole Damagard says, I'm more interested in conspiracy fact than conspiracy theory. I'm not looking for, something sensational, something that will make me go ooh and ah and entertain me. I mean, it is fun, but that's not my main interest. My main interest is conspiracy fact and trying to figure out what is in the world. And I would say that, as far as I can tell, and my word is not fact, obviously. This is just my perception and what I've come to accept. But I am pretty well convinced that there's more to, at the very least, there's more to the story of, I would say, three things in particular that really stick out, and that's 9/11, the JFK assassination, and the moon landing. Those just there's so many things there that look so wrong, and I have yet to see any debunking evidence that makes me convinced that we've been to the moon, that there wasn't some conspiracy behind 9/11, and that there, at the very least, weren't more than one. There has to be more than one person who shot JFK. Those three things, I think, are the three big ones that, in my opinion, there's some things that we're missing that need to be more looked into. Again, doesn't mean that I am right. Doesn't mean that they're proven true. But it's just hard for me to wrap my brain around some things, and I could be wrong. So there's that. Let me see. What else we got here? Dan also asks, have you personally exposed any conspiracy theories? No, not really. I mean, I feel like we played a bit of a part in helping expose, which I haven't. Well, if you've been listening for a while, we did like a 3-part series as something was unfolding on the hashtag Backyard Brawl case. There was a bunch of shady stuff going on there. I can't say for sure that that was what we were perceiving it to be 100%. I'm pretty sure. I think that it probably was. But there's some weird things on both sides of that. Some good, compelling arguments being made on both. We were kind of helping expose that as it was coming out. We didn't necessarily... I mean, we weren't the ones doing the investigative research and saying, here's this. As far as like going down there and doing it, we were digging into the research that other people were doing and helping expose that, helping them get it out there and that type of thing. But nothing as far as like, I found a thing and here it is, I've done it, being the first ones to discover something. I suppose there is one conspiracy theory, or conspiracy fact, perhaps, and that is that Mark Claire is, in fact, what was it? I said it toward the beginning of this show. Mark Claire, and if you listen to the Higher Side Chats, their host, Greg Carlwood, they have very similar sounding voices and similar ways of speaking. Mark is a little bit more enthusiastic, a little bit more animated in his speech than Greg is. So my thought is that my theory, and I have yet to be proven wrong, is that Mark Claire from Lions of Liberty, who also likes conspiracy theories, and he also has had Greg Carlwood on his show, but there was no video evidence that they were two different people. But Mark Claire is a little bit more animated. When Mark Claire smokes weed and rants about conspiracy theories, he is actually more chill and turns into Greg Carlwood from the Higher Side Chats. So they're one and the same. And Mark's interview with Greg Carlwood, it was actually him interviewing himself. I applaud him for the amount of work that must have taken for him to make that so. But that is my theory, and I am sticking to it. Also, Mark Claire has come on my show. I have hit up Greg Carlwood a couple times, and he has not responded and has not come on my show. So, balls in your court, Greg/Mark. Prove me right or prove me wrong. I would say that if Mark continues coming on the show and Greg continues to not come on the show, then I would say case closed. They are the same person. All right. So what else we got here? Gabe Casciato asks, where is the line on trust? We can't verify everything, so how do we decide what to research and what to let go? Deep question. Great question. I suppose that would require a follow-up question of what are we talking about exactly? Are we talking about with people, or are we talking about with conspiracies or politics or religion? I suppose you're probably asking on all things, since that's what the show is all about. It's questioning everything and staying uncomfortable. At what point do we say, okay, this has to be closed in my mind. I gotta move on. Otherwise I'll obsess over it and make myself crazy. I don't know exactly where the line is. I suppose that is between you and your own brain to figure that out. And that's actually something I've been working on personally, not obsessing over every little detail in life and things. And it's good to let some things go. I don't know where a line might be. I suppose the line is just, if you've done your digging, your due diligence enough to convince yourself that it is what you have come to the conclusion on, then I suppose let it go. But even still, it's healthy to question that. And if you've dug deep enough, I don't know. You can't verify everything, but I don't think that there's a problem in always wondering, healthily wondering, maybe I'm wrong. Like, even in your own spiritual faith and belief, if you've accepted, like, this is what I believe, this is the God that I believe in, and this is what I feel like he is asking of me, this is the point of my life, then it's not so much being skeptical, but being humble enough to accept, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I am. I feel like there's a difference between skeptically being like, that's probably bullshit too, and being like, well, I could be wrong too. I could be wrong on even the foundation of my life. If new evidence presents itself, then I should be humble enough to accept that I could be wrong. I know that that's as some Christians would say, a slippery slope and a dangerous place, and it's all on faith, but I don't think that there's a problem with that, and I think that if there is a God, that he respects that kind of humility of, yes, I believe this, I am staking my claim on this, and also I'm a human, and I'm probably wrong. I feel like if there's a God and he's going to punish that kind of open-mindedness, then it's hard to get behind. And I mean, you could do a whole podcast episode just on that. And we've kind of addressed that in the past. I did an episode way back toward the beginning with C.R. Pendleton, where it was something like, is it wrong to question everything and stay uncomfortable? We kind of dug into that. Where do you draw your lines? That's kind of a personal question. It's up to you. It's up to you. I draw mine in certain areas that I could dig into, but that would be a whole side rant of its own, and we would never get to the other questions. And yeah. What else do we got here? I hope I'm answering these adequately enough. I have a tendency to rant and ramble, so I gotta keep my brain moving forward, otherwise, because my brain kind of like, I've been noticing that my brain works on a loop, and it makes me obsess over things. So I have a tendency to talk in circles and repeat myself, and I also have short-term memory issues sometimes. So if I am repeating myself, or if I'm not addressing things fully, I apologize. Doing the best that I can. So Nathan Titus asks, you have a genie. What are your 3 wishes? No wishing for more wishes, for omnipotence, etc. I have a genie. Man. That's a whole podcast episode of its own, too. So give me 1 second to ponder this one. 3 wishes. Also, I might belch into the microphone because I'm drinking an energy drink, so stand by. No wishing for more wishes. God. I have no clue what I would wish for. That's going to take a lot more thought than I have time for here. If I had to just off the cuff, let's go with I don't know. Unlimited knowledge and joy for everyone. How about that? There's a wish. That could be dangerous, and I would have to really. The thing is, if you ask, I can't limit it to I want a $5 billion because what am I going to do with $5 billion? If I... everything has to be thought out to its fullest conclusion. And if I asked for $5 billion, then I'm going to be miserable and rich. Fuck it. Let's go $5 billion. And unlimited joy and happiness for the whole world. I would say that solves most problems. And unlimited knowledge for me, so I get to play God for the rest of my life. And I would probably drive myself insane and end up killing myself. That's the thing about this type of question. If you think that unlimited knowledge or unlimited power or unlimited wealth is a good thing, if you really think it out, you would probably end up dead at the end of it, within like the span of a year, because you would drive yourself insane if you actually had that with the snap of a finger. If you worked hard, I mean, the way the human brain works is you can't just get something out of nothing and appreciate it and have it go well. That's why a lot of people who win the lottery end up poor and destitute within a matter of years, because they don't appreciate it and they just squander it. They don't invest or save or anything like that a lot of the time. I mean, I suppose it's hard to say. That might not be the case. We hear of a lot of people doing that, but that could just be because we don't. I mean, somebody wins the lottery and they saved for a bunch of years and then they retired, they retired and they helped their kids become financially stable. That doesn't make news headlines. So perhaps there are some lottery winners out there that are responsible, but you don't hear about them in the news. And so I don't know. I feel like the way the human brain works, if you're going to have a lot of something, if you're going to have success in any area and be able to manage it, it is because you earned it, because you went through the hard work and dedication that it took to get you to the place where your brain can handle that amount of responsibility in having that kind of power, that kind of knowledge, that kind of wealth, etc. So I would have to really ponder my 3 wishes. And I know that was probably a question that you were expecting something much, much more, frivolous, but the way my brain works, I could obsess over that question for hours if it was honestly presented to me and I had to honestly try and figure out what I would realistically ask for. So I have to move on. I have to move on. We have to get through some more of these. Nick Tucker asks, have you seen the video of the dog trainer with the Bigfoot head? What do you think about what he has to say? I have seen the video. It's very, very strange. It's very strange. I'm more curious as to what Tyler Mills from the 29 Toes podcast has to say about this. And I should ring him up sometime and have him chat about it, because I've seen this video. Basically, if you're not familiar with it, it's this this dog trainer guy who says that he discovered this Bigfoot head, and he's showing it. It's frozen, and he says, I think, I haven't watched it in a couple months, but I think he says that it was passed down like from a generation or two, so he didn't actually discover it, but it's compelling. It looks almost real, but it has to be fake, right? It has to be fake if somebody hasn't come and confiscated this thing, if the Bigfoot researchers, there would be more buzz around this than a viral video if he actually discovered this thing, or if, a family member discovered this thing and he had something that could be tested and studied. There would be more buzz than a viral video, so I am leaning toward the idea that it's probably fake, unfortunately. But Tyler Mills is the Bigfoot guy, the Sasquatch guy. He loves digging into that type of stuff, so I might have to hit him up sometime soon and chat about this dog catcher and his discoveries. Scott McElroy. Nope, 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 nope. Oh, there's a lot more. Holy shit. I haven't even seen all these. All right. Let me see. Yeah, Scott McElroy asks, would you ever do ayahuasca? Yes. Yes, I would. I am very open to the psychedelics and trying to know yourself and unlock the power of your brain. And I know that that sounds scary to a lot of people. I know that that goes against some of the things that I was raised believing, but I have a hard time believing that we have a creator that made everything in the vastness of the universe, and he made some things for us to discover that could unlock the powers of our brain. And then he said, "Hey, don't understand your brain. Don't dig too deep." It just seems strange to me that we have, like, the pineal gland, as we've talked about a lot on the show. Well, not a lot, in a couple episodes on the show. Some people refer to it as the third eye. The pineal gland has the ability to, release chemicals. I'm not hugely knowledgeable in it, so I'm not going to pretend to be. But the fact that our own body, something created inside of us, has the ability to interact with different chemicals in certain ways to make us, see miraculous things. And Mike Brancatelli talked about his ayahuasca trips and how he, it's changed his life. It's changed his mental behavior. It's changed, it's even, he's talked about, like, healings in different people, mental healings and possibly even physical healings in people. And it's a frightening thing to be that open and vulnerable with yourself and with the world around you. But I feel like I would be open to it. And if it were legal here, I would have done it by now already. I would do it under the right circumstances with, an instructor or an overseer, a shaman of some sort, somebody to make sure that you didn't, like, go crazy and, kill anybody or anything like that. But the typical ceremony type thing, I would be very open to. I think that would be fascinating, and more than likely everybody should probably do it, because you could probably learn a lot more about yourself than you realize, and become better people. And I'm sure that I could too. Ben Panji asks, why do I pay you? The reason he says that is because in the forum, I said, I called out specific people. I posted a post and just listed off some people that, just to get the conversation going, tagged some people in it, and he asks, why do I pay you? Because Ben is a member of the Downers Club, and I am asking a person who pays me to contribute to the content that he is paying for. But, that's what this show is. I like it to be, kind of a dialogue between you guys and me. I like it to be an interactive show, an interactive experience. I like to relate to y'all. And I don't feel like we do that enough because of, sometimes we might focus a little too heavily on interviews. Sometimes we gotta just take it back to basics and let's just be down-to-earth humans with each other. So, Ben, why do you pay me? Because of this. Because you love it. You know you love it. Ben goes on to ask, do you prefer Spam, deviled ham, or Vienna sausages? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. That's a deep, deep question. Spam. Spam all the way. I don't think I've ever had deviled ham. I have had Vienna sausages. I didn't know what I was getting into, but they were atrocious. Spam isn't bad. Spam gets a bad rap, but Spam isn't bad. It's not good. It's bad. It's bad, but it can be done in a way that is acceptable. When I was a child, this might speak to the amount of white privilege that I had as a child, but I remember frequently eating what we called Spam and noodles, and it was a good thing. I enjoyed it. We had Spam as a child, and it wasn't bad. It might be just because I didn't know the difference. It's basically diced bologna in a can. It's pretty atrocious, but yeah. Ben also asks, is it time for South Park to go away? Yeah, I would say it probably is time based on the fact that they seem to want to go away, Matt Stone and Trey Parker. I don't necessarily want them to. I would love them to stick around forever and ever, even if they get bad, even if they stop having good points to make. I will still consume it because I enjoy their work and everything. And just like Star Wars can make a bad movie here and a bad movie there. I don't want them to leave necessarily. I don't care if Disney makes it into, whatever. If Disney starts to water down the brand and make too many Star Wars movies, I will still watch them because I love Star Wars. I love South Park. South Park doesn't need to go away, but it probably is time for it to do so, just because it's run its course. But I want them to give it a good send-off, just a good, happy, offensive send-off in South Park manner. I don't want it to fizzle out and become watered-down garbage. And if they can keep it going, I'll still watch it. But it would be great if they would put a nice bookend on that show. Maybe even another movie, like a made-for-TV movie or something, or theatrical release would be awesome. But yeah, make it good. Make it good. Give it a good, hard-hitting send-off, and it's probably time. It's probably time. Because new generations, it just doesn't have the same appeal to new generations. It doesn't mean as much to new generations as it did back in the day, which is unfortunate. And there's bigger and better things that they could do. It'd be awesome if Matt Stone and Trey Parker started a new show, an even more offensive show that could get them the buzz that they're seeking, because they like the offensiveness, and offense comes easy these days, but people aren't offended by South Park anymore. If you've watched the latest season, it's become apparent. They can't offend people, but if they started something new, then they could get what they're looking for, I think. Howie Snowden asks, opinion on Bird Box. I have not seen Bird Box, actually. My wife and I have been meaning to, and I've heard good things. I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard that it's worth a watch. I've also heard that it's overhyped. So I haven't looked a ton into it, but my wife and I have been meaning to watch it. We were actually going to watch it just last night, and we ended up not hunkering down early enough to watch a movie. I have a hard time sitting through movies, too, because I have focus problems a lot. Probably some sort of ADD or something, but I have a hard time focusing on movies, and if I watch a movie, a lot of times I'll have to do it in pieces. I'll have to basically watch it as though it's a show, otherwise I'll trail off. And especially if I'm watching... we have the problem of trying to watch movies, at night in bed, so we'll go to bed and turn on a 2-hour movie, and then we'll end up falling asleep a half hour into it, a quarter of the way through, and then we won't know where we fell asleep, or one person will fall asleep before the other, and so it's do you go back and rewatch it from the beginning to make sure you didn't miss anything? Do you go through the painstaking process of trying to figure out where the hell you were without spoiling anything? Or do you just forget it and never go back to it? That's usually the case. We usually start a movie. If we try to watch a movie, we'll start it, fall asleep, and never go back and finish it, which is unfortunate. So I'll let you know. I'll probably do a review, Rotten Potatoes review, in the Downers Club of Bird Box, and Howie is a member of the Downers Club, so he will get that. And if you want to hear my review of Bird Box, which is more than likely to come, go join the Downers Club, patreon.com/The System Is Down. And I think we're at least about halfway through these questions, and we are running 45 minutes, so we might have to pick up the pace. But before we continue, let's take a little ad break here. Let's be all professional and stuff for 1 second. Be right back. Hey, Dan Smots here. I'm taking a second to interrupt myself talking to talk about myself, because, I don't get paid a penny for the hours and hours that I put into creating this show for you guys in your greedy little ears, and I've got a family to feed. To make that happen, I run my own media business called Goulash Media. If you have a need in anything from video production to graphic design to audio production and beyond, you can get it all for a painfully fair price at Goulash Media. In video, I do weddings, music videos, commercials, pageants, plays, etc., etc., etc. For design, I do photo editing, album art, logos, branding, business cards, merchandise, you name it. For audio, I do engineering, production, editing, jingles, and, well, podcasts. So if you've got a media need of any kind, or if you'd just like to give a little something back and help keep my children fed, check out all the endless options at my website, goulashmedia.net. That's goulash, Goulash, media.net, where we cater to the little guy with the big vision. Okay. All right, we are back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. I've actually been getting a lot of YouTube comments lately, which is good. I love reading YouTube comments, especially the angry ones, and they're so often angry. But I've gotten comments of people bashing on the use of that Goulash Media ad that I've been using basically since the beginning of the show. So you know who the new listeners are, the people who come in and they complain that there's an ad for my own product in my show that you're getting for free, which I find hysterical. I don't know what not you guys who are regular listeners who have made it 45 minutes into this rant about nonsense, but the people on YouTube who are looking for the quality content, and then they get just up in arms because in the hour and a half episode that I gave them for free, I also plugged something that I might make a little bit of money off of. That I find that hysterical because, you know, that's the only episode that they're going to watch or listen to anyway. So, fuck you guys. I take nothing but joy out of the outrage that people, the entitlement that people get on YouTube. It's a beautiful thing. All right, we'll continue on with some more of your questions. And maybe if we haven't, maybe we'll go to the full hour and a half. Let's just see how this goes. Maybe I'll jump over to YouTube and take a look at some YouTube comments and talk about those too, because that's always fun. So Lucas Riley asks, what will it take for our two-party system to change? It is killing this country, and there are no signs of it stopping. I don't frickin' know. I don't know what it's going to take. But I try to stay positive. I agree that for as much as politics matters, which sometimes I think it matters, sometimes I think it doesn't matter in any way whatsoever, but for as much as I think that politics matters, yes, we absolutely need at least a third party or fourth party. We need some more ideas. It's just frickin' retarded, the amount of nonsense that we deal with just having the two parties, and the amount of, just the same thing, different hats, different labels, same ideas. It's all bullshit. I think what it would take is for a party to step it up and be principled and cool. And as you guys know, I am a libertarian. I have high hopes for the libertarian movement, 100%, and hopefully the Libertarian Party. I don't care as much about the party specifically. I would love for the party to step its game up and be in the running for debates and things like that. But in order to do that, and I'm not saying I have any answers. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm not even saying I have any answers at all. But it seems to me like the only way to do that is to make the party cool, to make the party matter, to expand the ideas and expand the message. There's people who are doing it and doing a fantastic job, but a lot of the people that are leading the party don't seem to get the memo. But people like Johnny Adams and Mark Clare, Brian McWilliams, Roger Paxton, all these people in the liberty movement that are doing great jobs. Judd Weiss, I have to throw in there too, because he's definitely thinking outside the box and helping make the movement a cool thing. Lots of great people in the party and in the movement. I don't know what it's going to take for anybody to notice because they've been doing it for a while, and I would say keep doing what you're doing, but I don't have high hopes of much changing. I love watching politics from like a spectator sport type thing, but as a conspiracy-minded individual and a bit of a skeptic, I don't have much hope for things being too drastically different. Unless we get somebody like a Rand Paul to, become a different type of Republican and get more say and become more of a libertarian type. I don't know. I'm not an expert on politics by any stretch, as I've proven time and time again on this show, and I'm totally fine with saying that. But what it would take for a third party, a fourth party, the powers that be being willing to change, because that the debates are run by the two-party system, so why would they allow a third party in? Especially if the third party is making sense. Why would they allow a third party to come in at all? They're not going to, as far as I can tell. But I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. All right. Lucas asks another question. What's your favorite childhood movie, and does it hold up? Also, what it was one you've you've watched as an adult and discovered that it is in fact terrible. I'm assuming this question was supposed to be, also, was it one that you've watched as an adult and discovered that it is in fact terrible? My favorite childhood movie. My favorite movie of all time. I have decided to just say this definitively. It's not a. It depends on what you call childhood movie. I watched it when I was technically a child. I probably would have been, I don't know, 13, 14, 15 when it came out. And it is still one of my favorite movies of all time, possibly my favorite, I would say probably my favorite movie of all time. And it's laughable, but it's Signs. The movie Signs by M. Night Shyamalan. I love that movie. I love the way that movie was written, the way that it was filmed, the dialogue, the acting, the story, the suspense, the scary moments. I live basically in the middle of a cornfield, so it means a lot to me. I can relate to it. The way that it focuses, the tenseness of it focusing just on the family, the way that you don't see the, you kind of see the aliens, the bad, the monster, but it still has a lot of mystery to it, and it's just creepy enough that it works. It works on so many levels. That was my favorite movie as a child, I think, and it's my favorite movie now. It is still my favorite movie, and it does hold up, I think. And I know you can scoff and say that the plot, there's a lot of plot holes. I know, but it doesn't matter. It's fine. It's okay. It's a great movie. It's such a good movie. And this is the first year that I haven't done annual Signs Day. We did it, I think, 3 years in a row, where we had friends over and we watched the movie Signs, and I made Signs burgers, which are the final meal that they have in the movie. They think that it's going to be their last meal, so they make all these different foods. We make all those different foods, and we put them together in this giant mess of a burger, and it is strangely delicious. So if you want to know, like, kids movies, like child movies, I suppose, I don't remember what my favorite one was, so I can't really say. Star Wars, if you go by what George Lucas said, Star Wars is a kid's movie. And when I say Signs is my favorite movie, it depends on, like a standalone movie, just a movie by itself, Signs, yes, that. Also, Star Wars, in all of its glory, is my favorite of all things movie. Also, The Matrix is one of my favorite movies. Not the second and third ones. I really need to go back and rewatch them, but I don't feel like they really work. But the first one, as a standalone movie, is a fantastic movie and one of my favorite movies of all time. And I watched it around age 15 or so. I convinced my parents to let me watch a rated R movie. Because I mean it's language and violence. There's no boobs in it, so they eventually let me, which was a big deal because that movie's so freaking good, so freaking good. Can't think of any kids movies off the top of my head that I really, I don't know. I gotta keep moving. Because like looking around, wondering if there's anything that could jog my memory of kids movies. I'm sure there are some. I'm sure there are some great ones that I cannot, for the life of me, think of right now. So I will keep going for the sake of this episode. But rereading your question, were they in fact terrible? No. Star Wars, Signs, and The Matrix still hold up. They're still fantastic in every way, in my opinion. And if you disagree, you're stupid. Lucas asks another question. If money was of no concern, what would be your dream vacation if you could go solo? Same question if you could take the fam. If I could go solo, my dream vacation would be, if money was no question, are we talking like science fiction? Are we talking like I can jump in a rocket and go wherever I want and find out if the earth is flat, if there's a American flag made out of cardboard on the moon, if there's an American footprint on the moon, that type of thing, and figure out that type of thing. That, obviously, if that was a possibility in the context of this question, I would be jumping in a spaceship. If money's no concern, I'll make the technology. I'll pay Elon Musk whatever is required to make me able to go and find out if any of these things are true. If we're talking more realistic, solo vacation, I would say probably if I could go solo, I would probably do a combo of like a roller coaster park and a cruise. Get like the brain rush of the adrenaline rush of doing the roller coasters for like, a few days, maybe a week. Standing in lines are the only issue. If money was no concern and I could go and bribe everybody to let me to the front of the line every time, yeah, let's go to a roller coaster park for a few days. Drink some drinks and have a chill time by myself. That'd be fun. Watching some movies and I don't know why I said watching some movies. I would also watch some movies. I'm adding that in there too, and go to a theater. I love going to see movies by myself because, as I said before, I have a hard time sitting through movies at home because there's so many other things to do. Going to a theater forces my brain to focus on the task at hand and makes it easier for me to enjoy. And it's a good, chill, fun time for me to do. And doing it by myself means that nobody is there to distract me. So that would be fun to add in there. And then I would go on a cruise. A nice cruise, just chill. So adrenaline rush, movies, bunch of movies, and then cruise. So same question, if you could take the fam. If I could take my fam anywhere, I would probably take them on a cruise too. Because that would be, it would probably be pretty similar. I wouldn't, I don't know. I would probably take my kids to a theme park. That'd be fun. But I don't know. Taking kids to theme parks can kind of suck because then you don't always get to go on the rides that you want to, and you have to go on some of the smaller rides. My kids are pretty gutsy, so there are some things that that would be fun to go on together, but the really intense stuff they can't do yet. It would still be fun, and this is making me want to take a vacation. Going to shows is always fun too. Going to festivals, music festivals. And I could be just speaking out of ignorance. I'm sure there are things this is just reading the question and answering it immediately. I'm answering based on my understanding of the world and the things that I've done in my life. There are plenty of things that I know nothing about that I would love to do, I'm sure. I just don't know what they are yet. If I had time to plan out a vacation and time and money was no concern, I would have a much different answer to this question. But I would love to take my family to do the same things. Cruise, theme parks, love them. Love that type of thing. Okay, what's next? Bruce Wilkie Jr. asks, why does it seem veganism and liberalism are two birds of the same feather? Okay. Veganism and liberalism. I am really tired. It might be the caffeine and the meds that are making me exhausted from answering these questions now. But I'm going to keep trudging along. But you're asking for something that would typically get me fired up to answer. And let's see. Veganism and liberalism. Why are they two birds of a feather? I don't know. Possibly because... Okay. I'll just say this, put this out there. If you're a liberal, I'm sorry, not sorry. It just is what it is. But you might be too sensitive. Liberals, from my view, they have a tendency to be overly sensitive, which is... Okay, so you're looking at the world through a different lens completely. I understand that. Liberals, from as far as I can see, to completely generalize, liberals see a homeless person or somebody without health care, and they think that person needs to be taken care of, right? I look at that person and think those people need to be taken care of too. The difference is, a liberal looks at those people and thinks the government needs to take care of those people, and I am willing to give the government that kind of power to take care of those people. A capitalist and open market type person, a libertarian especially, sees those people and they think, what can I do to help those people? Not saying that I'm a better person necessarily. I might be. I think that my view is better. But, okay, so good intentions, bad means of getting there. Vegans don't want to harm animals. They see animals as some sort of flowery, wholesome, good, I don't know. They see animals as equal to humans for some reason, and they have good intentions, but because of that, they don't let a single animal ever die because they think that they're as good as humans or possibly better because animals aren't killing humans for food. I am totally just rambling off the cuff here, and I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I see animals as property, and I love animals, and don't necessarily want them to die, but I feel like humans have greater intrinsic value in the world than humans do. And so I don't want animals to die, but I do want to eat them. If there's a way for me to eat them without them dying, then great, I'm all for it. But I do think that animals were probably put here for us to consume. I'm not for cruelty toward animals. I prefer, free range stuff like that, more natural. But I'm not a vegetarian or a vegan by any stretch. Why do those two things go together? I don't know. Probably bleeding heartness and just difference of opinions, I suppose. I could totally be talking out my ass, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. And when I say I could be talking out my ass, that verifies I am. That verifies that I am. I don't know why they go together. I don't know why. And I'm going to stop talking about that right now before I dig myself a deeper hole. Moving on, Lucas Riley asks, what are your thoughts on the question, should we die? There are a number of companies that can cryogenically preserve your whole body or just the part that matters, your head. This is a long question. The thought is that many years in the future, possibly hundreds, they will have the technology to bring you back. There have been experiments with a type of worm that have been cryogenically frozen and brought back with their memories intact. How do you... Okay, I'm not a scientist, but how do you know that the worm's memories are intact? How do you know what a worm's thoughts are or memories are? I don't understand that, but whatever. The question with our extending lifespan is, how long is too long? Is too long even a thing? Is death what actually makes our lives worth living? Is it death that ultimately puts our lives into perspective or motivates us? Okay, bye. Good Lord, Lucas, how much weed did you smoke before asking this question? And how much should I smoke before answering? This is not weed, by the way. This is nicotine and vape juice only. So, should we die? Would it be better for us to live forever, or is it better for us to die? I suppose that depends on your spiritual motives. If you think that there is an afterlife, which I tend to, as has been stated in this episode. Should we die? Probably. Even if you think like technology will give us the ability to live forever, and the alternative is lights out, worm food, I'm still okay with death, I think, personally. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around it right now. Obviously, I'm 30 years old, pushing 31. That's nothing. I still got, theoretically, a lot of life ahead of me. And I do think that there's an afterlife, but even if I thought that I would be worm food, I would still think it's probably better to have an end at some point. And that's deep. That's a deep thought to think. Because if your brain just goes on and on and on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, then who cares? Hey, you're going to get tired. You're going to get worn out. You're going to be done eventually. I mean, maybe if we had the ability to live on forever, like you could plug your consciousness, and it included your soul and all that, into a computer, and that lived forever indefinitely, super hypothetically speaking here, maybe it would be okay to say, yeah, you can go until you decide to die. You can go on and on forever until you decide to die. And then there would still be some value to this life, and you'd be like, okay, I've served my purpose in this life. I can't possibly do anything more. Unplug me. I'm done. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Should we die? Probably is my answer. We should probably die. And especially, I mean, just think, this is another mind fuck that I've thought about. Like if you take like the transhumanism stuff, like I talked about with Zoltan Istvan on the show, if you take the idea of making humans live forever through technology, and there is in fact an afterlife, we're just prolonging our not prolonging our suffering, we're prolonging, yes, we are allowing ourselves to suffer the consequences of staying and existing in this consciousness on this earth, when we could be transcending onto something way, way better. And we're like, wow, we can make ourselves bigger and better and grander. It's like, well, just stop, just die, just be humble enough to let yourself go and move on and see what's next. I feel like there's a good chance that humanity is going to end up we're going to end up driving ourselves insane, because we're like, we can make heaven on earth. But meanwhile, there's probably a heaven and a God somewhere that are like, just let it go, man. Just stop. You're not going to reach this on your own. You're not going to get here on your own. Unplug. Let it go. Move on. Whew, this is a lot deeper, a lot darker than I was expecting to go. I love it. I really love it. Leela Torno asks, if the Earth were going to be destroyed and you were given an option to be a settler, I suppose I sound a little bit southern, a settler on another planet, but all your friends and family would be left to die, would you take the chance to stay? Would you take the chance or stay and perish with your loved ones? Your chance of living more than 5 years as a settler would be about 15 to 20%. Whew. You guys are really, you're pulling out all the big guns. These are like moral conundrums that you're giving me. I mean, typically, an Ask Me Anything is like, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream? Not would you leave your family to try and keep the human species alive and let your family die? Oh, I would say realistically, probably not. I mean, if I could see the chances of my survival are slim, I would say, fuck it, I'm going to stay with my family and ride this out right now. That would suck, but I would want to spend all the time that I had left with my family and all the time that they had left rather than jetting off to some other planet to try and repopulate by myself. But the comedic side of me wants to, that's the honest side. The comedic side of me wants to say, I would fucking murder every last one of you to get some goddamn peace and quiet around here. To get some time by myself. I say that sitting in an empty room talking to basically myself. So that's just a little bit of a joke. I love solitude. I love being by myself. So the idea of being on a planet by myself does not sound that intimidating, but I do love my family so much that I would not take the 15 to 20% chance of living 5 more years. Who cares about 5 more years? Who cares about 5 more years? I would rather be happy than when it comes to life, quality, not quantity, my friend. And I believe that that goes back to Lucas's question too. Quality, not quantity. If I can live forever here on Earth and there's a heaven, then I would rather take the quality of heaven. Take my chances with that. I would drive myself insane in all of these things. Being alone for 5 years and trying to I'm also kind of lazy. I'm pretty lazy. So if it's on my shoulders to create the next evolution of man, it's not happening anyway. So I'm sticking it out here. Damn, you guys. All right. What are we at on time? We are at frickin' A, man. We are not getting to YouTube comments today. But we'll keep going. We'll push an hour and a half. Why not? This is fun. Nick Tucker asks, what would your biggest concern be if Donald Trump got impeached? My biggest concern if Donald Trump got impeached would be that somebody with much worse ideas, obviously, would take his place. And I don't 100% know Mike Pence's stances on a lot of things. I mean, that's just my own ignorance. I'm sure he's put his stances out there plenty. And I did watch debates with Mike Pence and I don't remember the other guy's name back in the day, but I've heard Mike Pence talk. I prefer Donald Trump. I prefer just keeping Donald Trump. I think he's doing okay. He's doing okay for the most part. He's doing some stupid things. He's doing some good things. I'm not that concerned, honestly. Maybe I should be. I don't know. But my biggest concern if he got impeached would be that somebody would do worse. And probably my biggest concern is that somebody would be worse and less entertaining at the same time. Because Trump, even when he does bad things, it's at least entertaining. Mary Rome asks, what would be your biggest concern if Donald Trump didn't get impeached? Well, my biggest concern is that he would keep things the way they are and not do some of the things that he said. My biggest concern is that that's a very strange strange question to answer. I want him to end the war on drugs in any way, shape, or form that he can. I want him to pull us out of as many wars as he possibly can. So my biggest concern, if he didn't get impeached, is that he won't, focus on some of those things, lightening up on some of the drug stuff at the very least, and pulling us out of some of the wars. Anyway, it seems promising that if he comes around again in 2020, or maybe before then, that he might lax up some things on drugs and some things on war, which would be fan-frickin-tastic. Tyler Mills from the 29 Toast podcast asks, if you could, would you? Yes. Yes, I would. Yes, I would. And Lucas Riley from the 29 Toast podcast posted an angry face on that. I don't know what this question means, but I don't know if there's an inside joke here that I'm not familiar with, but if I could, I would. I think. I'm not sure what I'm agreeing to, but yes, absolutely. Nathan Sipes asks, how much do you feel like the TSID community has altered the content of the show from what your original vision was? I don't feel like the vision of the show initially hasn't altered a ton, I don't think. My main focus was to be on politics, conspiracies, and religion, and we have pretty well focused on that. We've pretty well stayed the course on that, I think. But I was initially not planning on it being a regular interview show. It was going to be, as I've said many times, it was going to be me and a panel of friends talking about these things. That I found over the years that it's more interesting to get experts on different topics than just have us bullshit about things a lot of the time, and you guys seem to enjoy that, so maybe that has influenced it, because you guys seem to respond well to that. But you guys also respond well to some of the bullshit sometimes. We'll see how this episode goes. But, I've derailed my own train of thought. We don't do. I found that it's easier to get some of the experts on, and some people who know more than any of us, than it is to get all of us together. That's why we don't get together that much, because getting 4 people together who have more, I don't know, who have more commoner lives is harder than getting an expert together with a commoner, myself, just in the middle of the day, because I don't have a typical 9 to 5 job. That's changed a little bit. As far as the view of the show, I don't think it's altered that much, and I could be wrong. Like I said earlier, I will have to go back sometime, revisit some old content, and see if it jogs my memory on anything that has been altered. I don't know. The original vision. I don't know. I think we're good. I think we're good and solid for the most part. If I'm wrong, let me know. Nathan also asks, what's a topic you'd like to cover but for one reason or another haven't been able to? Good question. I would say, yeah, there's a few. There's a few that I do want to dig into and still intend to dig into. Most of the reasons why I haven't dug into them is because guest opportunity, or otherwise opportunity, haven't presented themselves easily for me to have a good constructive conversation about them that will be beneficial to the listeners and also entertaining. Lots of factors go into guests that I choose and why and how and so forth. So some of the topics that I still intend to cover but have not yet covered are like chemtrails, vaccines, a lot of the conspiracies that we've left open, like Sandy Hook, Boston Marathon, some of the different false flags and stuff like that. We actually haven't done one specifically on the moon landing. I would like to do that. The thing is, I could come on this show and I could rant about these things and what I think about, chemtrails and vaccines and the moon landing all day long, but I would prefer to get somebody on who is smarter than me, and talk to them and pick their brain so that I'm learning, and I'm not. I said, I believe very early on in the show, I said this is not going to be a show where I typically pontificate and try and teach you things from myself. This is going to be a show where I try to learn, and hopefully in the process you learn as well, because I'm a big dumb dummy, and I fully willingly accept that, and hopefully hopefully it helps you learn and it helps you be humble as well. Because I'm just going out there. I mean, I freaking talked to last week a Harvard scientist from Harvard. I don't even remember his credentials offhand, but he was a great guy. Avi Loeb was such a great guy to talk to, and I just put myself out there as, we can't. We at some point you got to stop pretending. You got to stop pretending. You got to stop putting on masks, putting on a show, putting on, this front that makes it so people should listen to you. You should listen to me because I'm the guy who is humble enough to say I'm stupid and I'm not a genius. I'm going to go talk to the genius. I'm going to bring you the genius because you don't necessarily have the ability to get access to this genius. I'll be your bridge. Okay, I'm on a complete tangent now and I'm rambling. Really hopped up on caffeine at the moment, so I apologize. Speaking of caffeine, Tim Finnegan asks, is Monster Energy Satan's beverage of choice? I'm not personally a fan of the beverage that is Monster Energy. It is, there are a couple of their flavors that I enjoy. And I've seen, I know that you're probably referring to the conspiracy stuff, like the symbolism in the Monster Energy logos and branding and stuff, where it says Unleash the Beast, and it's right on their can. And if you look at the logo, it's the claw mark, and it actually is like, it's symbolism for, I think it's like Hebrew letters 666. If you look at it in just a certain way, and if you look at the lines through the O in Monster, let me pull this up so I can try and remember some of the stuff here. 666, we'll say. Yeah, there's. Okay, so yeah, the line through the O in Monster, people have said it looks like an evil eye, or it looks like a cross, or an upside down cross, and there's a bunch of different weird stuff around Monster Energy. Do I put much stock into that? If I'm being completely honest, a little bit. I think it's a little strange that a lot of this stuff seems to come together. It is a little strange, but I don't really care that much. I think there's a lot of creepy shit in marketing, a lot of creepy conspiracy stuff in marketing, and a lot of weird symbolism out there that should be noticed and should be addressed. But do I think that we are being poisoned? Yes, by everything, with sugar and with a lot of the chemicals that we put in our body. I don't think Monster is the devil's jizz or anything like that. Devil's urine. But I do think their choices are strange. There's a lot of weird stuff. There's a lot of weird stuff in different popular branding and marketing and all that stuff. So I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's all huge coincidence. I leave that open as a possibility as well. Nick Tucker asks, what is it? It is 43. 42. 42. That's what it is. That's the meaning of life. 42. I suppose if you ask me anything, what is it? Is a perfectly acceptable question, and it is 42. Eric Tates asks, what triggers you other than dogs? Probably. I like that you took dogs off the table, so I don't have to rant about that some more. Let's see. What triggers me? I would say impatience by stupid people, other people's kids, reckless driving, like people who are just rude, obnoxious assholes on the road, or like waiting in line for something, or like people who don't have common courtesy. I suppose we could just wrap it all up into that. People who don't see other people as people and feel like they can just, scream at somebody who's like a McDonald's employee for getting their order wrong, for putting onions on it when they asked for no onions, for their... That has been quite a pet peeve of mine. I worked in the food industry at McDonald's in particular for like 3 years, and good Lord, some people are nightmares. The inability of some people to see people as humans drives me up a fucking wall. So you go to McDonald's, you pay $1, and somebody cooks meat for you. That's worth more than $1 to begin with. Cooking meat. But they cook meat, they season it, they put pickles, onions, ketchup, mustard, cheese, all that stuff on there. They put it on a bun, they wrap it up nice and neat and beautiful for you. They put it in a bag and they hand it to you. You did absolutely nothing, but you handed them $1, and you're still going to bitch that it might be slightly different than what you asked for and treat them like dog shit? Fuck you. That's what triggers me, is people like that who do not have common decency and respect for humans. That drives me insane. Okay, and that's the first thing that comes to mind. I'm sure there are other things, but that's all. That's the only thing that I can think of offhand that straight up triggers me. Other people's kids also trigger me a little bit. Just kids being little douchebags, like in the store and stuff like that. I try to take my own advice and see them as humans also. It's more judgment on the parents, which I know isn't right, because who knows what that person is going through? Who knows what that kid is going through? Who knows? I'm not saying it's right, but that is something that might set me off. And some people, maybe even the person who's screaming at somebody in the fast food restaurant, maybe they're just having a bad day, but that doesn't give you a right to be an asshole. So, more than anything, people not having common decency and courtesy drives me crazy. All right. Couple more here. And then, good Lord, we're going to have to call it a day. We are pushing an hour and a half already, so you're welcome. But we'll wrap these up. I think we're almost done. Hope you're enjoying this. Hope this hasn't been too much nonsense for you. Hope it's been a good, fun listen. Andrew Sitchling asks, who's the one person you would love to get on the show and why? I asked him in a comment, dead or alive, and he said both. Okay, well, answer this quickly. Dead, I believe I've said it before, but dead, probably, if you believe that Jesus died and did not come back to life, then Jesus, obviously. I want to know what was going through that guy's brain. If you believe that Jesus is alive, then I would say Hitler. Hitler would be a really interesting one to pick his brain on, because, as you know, there's a bunch of conspiracy stuff that say Hitler wasn't as bad as history says. But even if he was as bad as history says, then I want to know why he thought the way he did and how he came to the conclusions that he did. The humanity that could, the side of humanity that could cause you to do the atrocities that the claims say that he carried out. How in the actual fuck do you come to those conclusions in your brain? I want to know. I mean, I would be a safe distance away, but I would want to interview him and ask him those questions. Maybe Charles Manson as well. Alive, like somebody now, if I could, Donald Trump, maybe? Like, I would have a lot of questions for that man, and maybe Kanye West, that'd be a great one too. Man, there's a lot of people that I would love to interview, and it would be great to just, shoot the shit, ask them questions. If I was like really wanting to dig deep into the mysteries of the world, probably have to go a different route and talk to somebody, I don't know, like a Rothschild or a Rockefeller or something like that. But I would want to know what those people know, but I would not want to sit across the table from them and pick their brain. Possibly even Donald Trump, if my conspiracy ideas have any bearing, and Donald Trump is a part of that system, then even I would not want to, necessarily cross ties with, but I am not necessarily convinced that is the case, that he is a part of that. I don't know. I don't freaking know what's going on in the world. I do know that I'm rambling for way too long, but let's say Donald Trump, Kanye West alive, or Jesus alive. Jesus, if there's a Venn diagram of the dead and the alive, there's Donald Trump and Kanye West in the alive, and Hitler and Charles Manson. Actually, let's put Marilyn Manson in the alive too, because that would be a fascinating interview. For dead. Wait, is Charles Manson alive or dead? I don't know. We'll say he's dead. I don't remember. But Charles Manson and Hitler are in the dead, and then Jesus is the only one right in the center where he's both dead and alive. Okay. So I think this is the final question. Eric Tates asks, what are companies or services that you use but also despise? I would say all the big ones, all the big corporate-y ones. I don't knock on the corporate-y bullshit too much, because there is good in convenience. There's also bad that comes from the convenience sometimes. I use them. I take joy in using them, but there's probably a lot more dark there than I want to know. A lot more bad things that happen behind the scenes that I don't want to know about. And the convenience of, for example, things like Google, convenient, super convenient. And I have a lot of reason to not trust Google. I know that they're collecting all my data. I know that they're probably misusing all that data. I know that it's probably going to bite me in the ass someday. But until it does, I'm probably going to keep doing it because it's convenient and they make a really damn good product. Same with McDonald's. McDonald's is good. McDonald's gets a bad rap because people like to hate McDonald's, but McDonald's makes good, cheap freaking food. Like I said, they hand you a meal for $1. How can you complain about that? Is it bad for you? Yes. Yes, it's bad for you, but it's also really convenient. And when you're in a pinch and you only have $1, go for it. McDonald's, Taco Bell, all that stuff. Apple, love Apple products. I'm sure there's some bad stuff going on with Apple, and they have their ups and downsides, but they make a damn good, simple product. And so I will continue to use Apple because they work. Until this, as Americans, that's how we do, isn't it? We have certain morals and certain compromises, and conveniences are what tie the two things. Until something bites us in the ass, we're willing to compromise our morals a little bit. We are willing to ignore some things and say, hey, this is okay. We're going to let Google keep collecting all of our data. We're not going to be outraged because I really need Google spreadsheets and Google Docs for my business. I really need that to be able to tie to Gmail. I really need that to be able to tie to everything else. Google. So, all those things. All the things I despise and love at the same time. Man, I gotta stop. I gotta go chill out. I've had too much caffeine, and I'm buzzing here. I'm gonna end up breaking out in cold sweats here soon. And we are past the hour-and-a-half limit, so that's the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I am also freaking hungry. That's another pet peeve. I hate when people say starving. You're starving? You're fat. You're not starving. Go tell a starving child that you are starving just because your tummy went gurgle for a second. But anyway, that's where we're going to wrap up this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was a fun, laid-back way for you to start out your week. And, I hope it was the ample amount of nonsense, just right, not too much, not too little. If Goldilocks walked into my house and she was like, I'm looking for some nonsense, she would be like, this is too much nonsense. That would probably be the 29 Toes podcast. This isn't enough nonsense. That might be, I don't know, who's not enough nonsense? Maybe Roger Paxton or Tom Woods. And then Goldilocks finds the system is down, and she's like, this is the right amount of nonsense. It's probably too much nonsense, let's be honest. But that's fine. That's fine. It's good to be silly sometimes and have a good laid back silly episode. And it's good to just let some things go. It's good to just be chill and think, I was supposed to do an episode that was going to be a really good interview. I'm going to do that episode, but it didn't work out this time. But this did work out, and this was fun. And I hope you enjoyed it. We had a good time together. We made memories that will last a lifetime and beyond. This will last beyond my life. As long as the internet exists, as long as technology exists, this will outlive me. That's a frightening thought. This hour and a half of bullshittery will outlive my brain. Frightening thoughts. But if you enjoyed this, well, if you made it this far, then hopefully you enjoyed it and you're not just a masochist. But if you did enjoy it and you would like to hear more things like this, more nonsensical solo episodes of the show, go over to the System is Down forum and let me know. You can find that, again, by going to tsidpod.com/forum, or just type it in on Facebook, the System is Down forum on Facebook, and ask to join, and I'll get you right in there. You can also let me know by going, just shoot me an email, my personal email. You can contact me directly at dan@tsidpod.com. That's my email, dan@tsidpod.com. Let me know all the things you want me to know. And I think I mentioned last week, I'm setting up a bunch of new social media platforms for the show. You can go check them all out. A lot of them are already, in fact, set up. We now have a System is Down Gab account. We have a Minds account. We also have, let me see, HugeTube, which is kind of like YouTube, but it's better. It's much better, because it doesn't have the Google bullshit, and we can do whatever we want. Like, you can actually find the good stuff on HugeTube, the good conspiracy type stuff. So go check out HugeTube. It is not censored yet. Instagram. We now have an Instagram account, so go follow us on all those platforms. Gab, Minds, HugeTube, Instagram. Check them out. They are, you can find I'm posting different content on each platform, so you can find something different in each place. And I'm really enjoying some of these new social media platforms. So there's a chance that I might fizzle out some of the typicals, like Twitter and Facebook. I mean, those are the easy ones to have things filter out too, so they will still exist. But there's a good chance you might find more things to your liking on things like Gab or Minds. More people with similar mindsets I have been finding. So go check those out. Go check out the Systems Down wherever you can. We are also still, of course, on the Facebooks, the Twitters, and the YouTubes. And we're upping our games there and posting more and more and more. But when I say we, I mean me, because I'm doing all this and doing all this out of the goodness of my heart. And I hope that you love it as much as I love giving it to you. So, yes, some new platforms that you might want to check out. Minds, Gab, HugeTube, all that fun stuff. All right, what else do we got? You go join the System is Down, the Downers Club. Please support the show. Sorry, I've been talking for almost going on 2 hours now by myself, and it is tiring, and my brain is kind of like scrambled eggs at this point. So I'm forgetting how I do these sign-offs and all the things that I throw in here. You know what they all are. And if you've made it this far, then you're definitely a listener of the show, a regular listener. So this will not come as news to you. You know what all these things are. So go join the Downers Club and you'll get all the stuff. You'll get the bonus content, the audio and the video every single week. You'll help keep the show getting bigger and better. And you will make me happy. You will bring me joy. Bring me much, much joy. And go tell somebody about the show this week. Do that. Do all of that stuff. Tell somebody about the show. Have an uncomfortable conversation. Let's change the world together, one uncomfortable conversation at a time. Okay, so again, hope you've had fun. I hope this has met your needs. I hope that you want more of this because I've enjoyed it. And I hope that you enjoy my rambling as much as I have. I gotta stop. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get some other shit done this week. So, thank you guys for listening. It's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you for supporting the show. You guys are great. And I love you with all my heart. And of course, if you'll have me, I will be right back here in your little ear canals first thing next Monday morning with some more uncomfortable content for you. And that will be back to the typical format for now. I believe next week we're having Johnny Rocket Adams from the Rocket Media or Launchpad Media. That's what it is next week. Good interview that I did with him is coming up next week. So we'll be back to the typical format next Monday morning. So tune in for that. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, question everything and stay uncomfortable. I'll talk to you then. Thanks. This has been a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.